So if you want to know what my exact out-of-theater reaction to this film was, it went something like this.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
So, Mercy. This is another one of those films where the entire film pretty much takes place behind a computer screen, similar to films like Unfriended or Searching. And I kid you not, the very first second of this film, I went, oh no. Because the first thing that you see is Amazon Studios Presents. And do you know what other film that takes place behind an entire computer screen was made by Amazon Studios?
It's you! It's you!
Yeah. Well, yes, kind of.
How could you,
Yeah.
man? How could you?
That's right, from the studio that brought you War of the Worlds 2025 brings you Chris Pratt sitting in a chair for 90 minutes. So I won't lie, the premise for this film intrigued me. You have Chris Pratt, who plays Chris Raven, a cop who's being trialed for the murder of his wife. Though in the near distant future, the court system is a little bit different. Instead of being trialed in front of a jury, you're being trialed in front of an AI, and you have to convince the AI that you are innocent in the span of 90 minutes. Okay, interesting premise, especially during a time like this where everything is being revolved around AI. Okay, I mean, the trailer didn't look great, but I mean, I always go into a film with the expectation of being entertained. Even with films like War of the Worlds, I found some entertainment in it because of how bad that film was. Now, is this film as bad as War of the Worlds? No, not by a long shot. But is it bad? Oh yeah. Now, before I get into the negatives of this film, let me talk about a couple of the positives because there's maybe one positive thing to talk about. If you watch my channel for a certain amount of time, you know that I always like to talk about the good in films, especially bad films. I like to see if I can at least find the director's creative vision of something that he wanted to make. I like to find the good in any movie. And here, there's some enjoyment to be had, kind of. So the one main positive I can give this film is that the performances aren't the worst. I mean, they're not great, but they're not bad either. Mainly from Chris Pratt. He does a good job playing this terrified cop trying to figure out who murdered his wife while having this race against the clock of trying to convince this AI that he's innocent. Chris Pratt does a okay job. You can tell he's kind of phoning it in a few parts. I mean, the very first scene in this film is him just waking up in a chair going, oh God, where am I? That's kind of the first impression that you get from Chris Pratt, so it's not great, but for the movie that he's kind of in, you know, it's entertaining. But unfortunately though, Chris Pratt does suffer from the exact same issue every single actor that are in these kind of movies have. They have nothing to work with. You can tell that they were just filmed in a green screen, like for the entire thing, and they have no other actor to really work with. You can tell he's not really talking to Rebecca Ferguson, who plays the AI. He was just talking to himself in a green screen room, reading his lines of dialogue. Like, you never really have that much weight or emotion with any of these kind of performances because they have no one to work with. They're just there in a green purgatory trying to get some good performance out of themselves. Same goes with Rebecca Ferguson's performance, which is actually one of my complaints about the film I'll talk about later. But you can tell she had really nothing to work with here because she's just talking to herself in front of a camera. She has nothing going for her because she doesn't have anything to work with. So for the other positive thing about the film is that the first 30 minutes or so are actually pretty engaging and entertaining. because the film really does make it seem like Chris did murder his wife, so you're kind of second guessing yourself if Chris is innocent or not. I thought that the first 30 or so minutes was actually kind of engaging, and I was thinking to myself, man, this film isn't really that bad. I don't know why it's getting like horrendous reviews online. I mean, it's just nothing special, but I'm entertained to say the least. I personally feel like a film like this would have worked better as maybe a 30-minute short. But once you get past that 30-minute mark, the train goes off the rails because this film just jumps the shark in so many ways. By the time the credits roll, your jaw will be hitting the floor about trying to even comprehend what the hell you just watched. You see, the film really just started getting irritating because the second they introduced this one character about 30 minutes into the film, I immediately thought to myself, yep, he did it. He's a killer. Lock him up. That guy there. They make it so blatantly obvious who the killer is that the entire rest of the film, I was thinking to myself, oh my god, it is obviously this person. Stop trying to pull the rug by making other twists and turns throughout the film. You are not fooling anybody. It is clearly this one guy. I was just so frustrated with how this film was going, with the way it was pacing its story, of trying to do all these different twists and turns, because it was so freaking obvious this one twist person was the villain of the story. And it doesn't help, but the film is so boring. It is so goddamn boring. It is literally 90 minutes of Chris Pratt sitting in a chair looking through computer files and documents. That is it. He is just looking at documents, calling people for 90 minutes. Luckily, you don't need to look at your phone while watching this film trying to see how much longer there's left, because in the very corner of the film, there is a timer displaying how much longer is left for this trial that Chris is in. And throughout the entire film, I was like, okay, he's got like 20 more minutes left of this case. Film's almost over. We're getting there. Come on, please let this film freaking end. Like, I mean, I guess I could say the film is kind of in real time, which is cool, but also, it is so boring. Like, if I wanted to watch someone call people and look at documents on a computer screen, I would have went to work. This film just feels like you were at an office job. I would have driven to work, worked for 90 minutes, and got the same amount of entertainment I did watching this film. The best way to describe this film's story is that it is so monotonous. Looking at documents, next scene, calling somebody. Looking at documents, next scene, calling somebody. Calling documents, calling people, back, forth, rinse and repeat. It is so repetitive. Maybe this film is called Mercy because that is what you'll be saying to yourself, begging for the film to end. And the more I think about it, most of these scenes where Chris Pratt is looking at documents and calling people leads to nothing. Just nothing. The twist at the very end of the movie has pretty much nothing to do with the main mystery that he was searching for through all these documents. Like, it's all just jumbled up in a mess. Nothing in this film was coherent, and most of these scenes just seem so pointless. Just pointless. So let's go into this whole aspect of Chris trying to convince this AI that he's innocent, because this is where the film gets kind of confusing and doesn't make any sense. So the whole thing with this whole mercy justice system is that you sit in this chair for 90 minutes trying to convince this AI that you're innocent. But the thing is, though, is that the AI just gives you infinite amount of documents. Like, it can look through phones, it can look through burner phones, it can look through people's personal Instagram stories, through their personal hard drives, it can look through pretty much anything. This whole Mercy AI has access to just infinite amounts of data. So if the AI has infinite amount of data, could they just not look through the data and figure out that this one person was the killer? And also, the whole Mercy system was made to put more people in jail. So why did you make a system that gives you infinite amount of knowledge and access to just infinite amounts of documents to help you? Like, do you understand what I'm saying here? It makes no sense. Why make a court system that just gives you infinite amounts of knowledge? Just infinite. It seems kind of better than our court systems now, kind of. So if you made this mercy system to make more people be put in jail, why did you make this whole system more efficient than the real court system? And also, again, if the AI just has all this infinite amounts of knowledge and data, could they just not look through the data and just figure out that this one person was the killer? And now I can talk about my complaint with Rebecca Ferguson's performance, because never once was I convinced she was an AI in the movie. Like, she's supposed to be playing this soulless, emotionless AI, but yet through the entire film, I never really got that from her performance. I just thought she was just a person that Chris Pratt was FaceTiming in this court system. It never felt like an actual AI was talking to Chris Pratt. It just seemed like it was just a random person, which I guess you could make the argument, oh, that's what AI is nowadays with ChatGPT and whatnot. You're like talking to somebody that has emotion. But when you're trying to convince the audience that this movie is based around this court system with an emotionless AI that's trying to convict people, you would think the movie would want to try to make Rebecca Ferguson seem like an AI, but it never really goes there. Like, it just seems like Chris was talking to a person through the entire movie. And another thing about the film is that it is so ugly, filled with horrible green screen, horrible visual effects, and it is also edited like every other movie like this, where the camera has to zoom around this computer screen all over the place, going left, right, up, down, all over the place, and make it seem like you're watching a movie and not just a TikTok edit. And through the entire film, I was just getting an extreme headache, because you're just watching this computer screen go for 90 minutes, and it's so irritating. I hate every single film like this because they just look terrible. This is not a good way to make a film. If you just want to make a movie about a guy at a computer, you gotta do a little bit more flair than just having the camera pan across a computer screen. Like, give me something here. Now let's talk about the big elephant in the room here, and that is this film has a pro-AI message in the film. Throughout the whole film, this AI is helping out Chris solve this murder case, and then Chris ends up being friends with the AI by the end of the movie. And at the very end of the movie, I swear to God, Chris says, you know, humans and AI both make mistakes, but I think we can both make the world a better place. Are you kidding me? In a day and age where AI is making the work environment worse for people by taking away people's jobs, by making it harder to get a good paying job, and also making the art industry a living nightmare because of these AI tools, especially in the film industry, and this is the movie you wanted to make? A movie that is saying, hey, AI is actually a good thing that can benefit people, even though it's killing our environment, making people's lives a living hell? Really? Like, really? Talk about a tone-deaf message. Look, AI is such a heavy subject. Personally, I'm on the fuck AI side of things. I hate AI. I do my best to avoid using ChatGPT and using any kind of AI program. So, seeing a movie that just is like, oh, AI is a good thing. It can make the world a better place with no consequences whatsoever. Nah, fuck you. You know what? At least War of the Worlds didn't have a stupid pro-AI message in the movie. They just had Prime Air advertisements. This has just a disgusting message. Speaking of War of the Worlds, in the words of Ice Cube,
AI is bullshit. Fuck AI.
So what more can I talk about with this film? It's got a disgusting pro-AI message, horrible effects, it looks disgusting, performances are just okay or bad, the plot is monotonous and boring. So what more can I talk about here? Well, spoilers, because I gotta talk about the ending of this movie, because when I say this film jumps the shark, I mean it jumps the shark. So at the very end of the movie, it is revealed that this one dude who's a friend of Chris's was the guy that murdered his wife. Okay, that was the obvious twist that I noticed while watching the movie. I was like, okay, that friend there, he's the guy who killed his wife. But the reason why he killed his wife is so convoluted. So it turns out this friend of Chris secretly had a twin brother that nobody knew about. And it turns out that this twin brother was the first person to be trialed by the Mercy Project that Chris actually invented. And this twin brother was pleaded guilty by this Mercy court. So to get revenge for his brother's death for being trialed as guilty, he decides to murder Chris's wife. But not only that, he murders his wife and frames Chris, so Chris will be inside the Mercy Court building, so that way, this friend of Chris's can bring a nuclear bomb into the Mercy building to blow up Chris and blow up the Mercy Project. I mean, do you even understand what I said there? This guy murders Chris's wife, so Chris will be framed and be sent to the Mercy Court building. That way, Chris's friend can bring a nuclear bomb to blow up the Mercy Court building and blow up Chris. What? Like, what? I kid you not. That's what happens at the end of this movie. Like, was this film written by AI? That's it. I figured it out. AI wrote this movie. That's why it's pro-AI. That's why the whole film takes place on a computer screen. That's why the plot is just monotonous and repetitive. This movie was written by AI. It has to be. Like, it just has to be. So yeah, as you can tell, I didn't like this movie, like, at all. Besides, like, that first 30 minutes or so, it's got a terrible story, horrible AI message, a what the fuck ending of a plot twist. This is just a horrible, horrible movie, which is why I'm gonna give Mercy the unholy top hat. What a disaster of a movie. Tell my fancy friends out there, thank you so much for watching, but if it's your first time here and you like what you've seen, be sure to subscribe for more content. And have you seen Mercy? Please don't. But if you did, what did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you have a fantastic night. And as always, stay fancy.